Hello and welcome. Thank you for listening. My name is Sarah Baumert. I'm a yoga teacher, Feldenkrais practitioner, and host of the Sarah B. Yoga podcast. The Sarah B. Yoga podcast and my practice, Body Matter, is an interdisciplinary learning space where we explore the many ways that movement can help facilitate body acceptance and awareness, reduce pain and stress, regulate the nervous system, and build strength and ease. My teaching plays with the synthesis of Feldenkrais awareness through movement lessons, traditional yoga asana, creative imagery, breathing exercises, self-massage, and a compassionate mindset to help you feel a greater sense of ease and comfort in yourself. Sarah B. Yoga and Body Matter have a lot of other program offerings. These podcasts are just a taste of my teaching. Each week I teach a range of online classes, including a gentle yoga class, a level 2 class for more advanced students, and Feldenkrais classes with monthly themes, anatomy lessons, and Q&A sessions for more in-depth study. I have 2 new online series offerings for the fall. A Feldenkrais series titled Coming to Your Senses, an exploration of the spaces of the eyes, the mouth, jaw, ears, vocal, and breathing apparatus. And my second course, Wakeful Body, the blending of yoga and Feldenkrais on Monday nights. As one student recently described Monday nights, that felt like I just gave myself a massage. So these fall classes will be a continuation of some fan favorite stretching sequences that incorporate bolsters and other props to enhance the poses. There is still plenty of time to join these courses live or via the course recordings. You can find more information about these offerings in the show notes. Okay, on to today's episode. Thank you so much for listening.
Turn your attention to the base of your spine, the tail, and the sacrum that sits between the 2 halves of the pelvis, feeling its contact with the blanket.
Welcome to episode 60 of the Sarah B. Yoga podcasts. I'm Sarah Baumert, your host and teacher. This is a level 1-2 class with some attention to the spine from the front and the back. What might feel like some very deep abdominal work towards the beginning of class will then turn into an attention to the spine, its capacity for full flexion, as well as extension from the tail all the way to the head. Some poses that you will experience include rabbit pose, cat, sphinx, side angle, eventually moving towards plow pose, among others. We will make a single blanket roll or cylinder with the blanket and also use a looped strap and 2 blocks. There's a short excerpt from a David Whyte poem at the end. I wanted to give credit to him. And if you're looking for any live online classes on Zoom or self-paced yoga and Feldenkrais courses that include video, you can find more at my website, body-matter.com. As always, I hope you're enjoying the podcasts and that they're helpful for you to be able to maintain a home practice. If you can, please leave a review on iTunes, Google, or wherever you get your podcasts. Okay, let's get started with class.
Okay, so let's start. Okay, so go ahead and grab your blanket. We'll create a very thin and flat bolster, so it will be long. So I have my blanket here folded in quarters. And then I'm going to take the long end, fold it in half once from the long end, and then a second time, so that you have a nice long flat bolster. And then place that bolster parallel to the long edge of the mat. Doesn't matter if the fringe end is on one side or the other. Yeah, good. And then from there, sit right at the edge And lie down so that both your head and your pelvis are lifted. Let your arms rest alongside the body and lengthen your legs to begin with. Have your feet at least hips distance, maybe a bit wider. Allow your legs to flop open. Let the eyes close. And just sense this very subtle opening across your pelvis. Pelvis is just a slight bit higher than, where your calves and your feet rest. Normally the pelvis would be on the floor here when you lie down. So just notice what that does in a very subtle way across the pelvis. Turn your attention to the base of your spine, the tail, and the sacrum that sits between the two halves of the pelvis, feeling its contact with the blanket. Notice the depth or fullness of your breath right now. Is it possible to take a breath in and direct the movement of your diaphragm downward so that your sacrum and your tail know that you're breathing, that there's some kind of communication there? And then up from your sacrum, the lumbar, lower back area, notice the curve there. Notice if you're touching the blanket or not, and the tone of the low back today. And perhaps you can see if it's possible to breathe in and effect the sensation of the lower back from your breathing. That might be a bit more accessible than doing the same thing down at the tail. And continue to scan in your attention up the spine to the thoracic, where our ribs attach. You likely feel more pressure down on the blanket. And in this area, can you breathe in? And it's really like you're communicating with that area. You're letting that area know that it can be affected by the breath. Sensing your shoulder blades, the inner borders of the shoulder blades might feel that as though they're touching the blanket. Feel the weight of your upper arm bones helping to open the shoulders here. And continue to scan up the spine and notice where in your upper back do you start to leave the blanket. We have the cervical curve, but it might be, thoracic 2 or thoracic 1 that starts to leave the blanket, maybe a little bit lower than the cervical. And then feel the back of your head resting on the blanket. See if you can hold in your attention the entire spine, from tail up through the curves up to your head. And bend your knees, stand your feet. And just notice once your feet settle and your pelvis settles, did that change the way that you meet the blanket? And notice the parts of your spine that feel quite deep, heavy into the blanket. Now see if you can shift the shape of your torso so that all parts of the spine feel more evenly, as though they're pressing evenly into the blanket. So just play for a moment with what that would mean. How might you do that? There's not a right answer. It's a bit more of an exploratory moment. And so in a sense, we are flattening the spine or thinking of taking out those natural curves. If all of the vertebrae were to have the same kind of pressure. And then whatever you're doing, just let it go, let it rest. And take your arms up towards the ceiling with the palms facing your legs. Slowly bring the arms overhead alongside the ears. If the backs of your hands can touch the floor, bring them to the floor. And just take a moment to notice how this positioning of the arms changed the shape of the spine. Did your lower back lift a little bit? Are you feeling a tug at the front of the ribs? So not correcting anything, just noticing right now. And begin to actively lengthen the arms. Allow your shoulder blades to slide in the direction of your ears. When that happens, though, see if you can keep the jaw and the front of the throat from holding more tension, bringing more tension there. Good. Slowly let your arms open to cactus position. So your upper arm bones are straight out from your shoulders, the elbows are bent 90 degrees, and the palms are facing up. Now, the blanket's not too high, so it may be pleasantly more easy to bring the backs of the hands to the floor. So you can press the backs of the hands and the backs of the wrists down. As you inhale, accentuate the inhale breath towards your side ribs, into the armpits, towards the shoulder joints. Good. Keep this pressure down into the floor. Pick your feet up and bring your legs to a tabletop position. So your knees are bent 90 degrees. The thighs are vertical. Bring your legs all the way together so the inner knees touch, and flex your ankles. Allow your lower back to move towards the blanket. And in a very subtle way, feel the pubic bone and the base of the sternum moving towards one another. So you feel as though you're just finding a little bit of abdominal engagement, just waking that up without closing off the shoulders. So see if you can keep the front of the chest open as you begin to wake up the abdominals. So moving the pubic bone towards the base of the sternum. That might bring the lower back deeper into the blanket. Good. Now take your arms down alongside the body. Turn your palms down. Fingertips on the floor. Exhale, gently lift your head. Draw your chin towards your chest. Walk your fingertips down the mat a bit more. See your thighs. And here, again, move the pubic bone towards the base of the sternum. Now, it's not really going to move much, but you're moving in that direction. Good. Exhale, release your head, your shoulders down, bring your feet down. Okay, now you're just going to shift towards your feet until your tail and your sacrum are off of the blanket. So your head is still on the blanket. And you're tipped now. The pelvis is gently tipped. So the lumbar curve is present and maybe even accentuated a little bit. Bring your arms down alongside the body. Stand your feet. You can walk your heels quite close in towards your sitting bones. And push the feet into the floor and begin to lift your tail and your sacrum up, and pause when you feel like they're at the place where they're the same height as the blanket. So if the blanket were still underneath there, it would just be that high. Just pause there for a moment. And now slowly start to lift a little bit higher, thinking of the tail curling towards the ceiling right now, and your pubic bone moving towards the base of the sternum. A few more vertebrae are probably lifting off of the blanket. Good, and slowly lower down and feeling you come into that lumbar curve as the sacrum and the tail come to the floor. Okay, now take your legs vertical. So the legs are straight and as much in a vertical position as they can be. The arms will stay alongside the body to begin with here. The back of the head roots into the floor. As you exhale, can you peel your tail and your sacrum off the floor? Your legs stay vertical. Make sure the legs don't come towards the chest. And you're just lifting the tail and the sacrum so that you could slip a blanket that same height underneath. Should feel the low belly really activate. And then slowly lower the sacrum and the tail back down. So it's a small but powerful movement. Take a breath in, soften your jaw, your throat, shoulders. And again, exhale. Think of lifting the legs straight up. See if you can lift your tail and the sacrum up. The base of the sternum is moving towards the pubic bone. Inhale, slowly lower. And one more like that, with the head still on the blanket. On your exhalation, the legs go straight up. Tail and sacrum lift. And inhale, slowly lower. Okay, bring your feet back to the floor. We'll come right back to that position in a moment. Just let your knees rock a little side to side. Allow a belly breath, which is probably weren't belly breathing there. Okay, then bring your feet back to the middle, your knees back to the middle. Take the legs back up to the ceiling and interlace your fingers behind the head. Exhale, just lift your head slightly, drawing your chin towards your chest. And then gently lower that down. So we will include lifting the head as we lift the tail now. So thinking of two ends of the spine, lifting up, tail and sacrum peel away from the floor as the head lifts. This might feel a little bit easier because your whole spine's working together now towards flexion. And then slowly lower tail and sacrum and the head. Breathe in. One more time like that. Exhale, lift the head and the tail. Move the base of the sternum towards the pubic bone. And slowly lower down. Bring your feet to the floor. Just tip off to one side so that you can take that blanket out from underneath you. We will use it later on in a different configuration. Go ahead and draw your knees into your chest. Great. All right, let's roll to the side so that you can grab your strap. You'll want to have a loop in your strap. So if you don't have a loop in your strap, it can be a smallish loop about shoulder width. And then we're going to use a block underneath the sacrum. So if you want more padding, you could also put a block with a blanket over that. Okay, so once you've got that all handy, lie back down, slip the block underneath your pelvis, sacrum area. If you want more height, go ahead and place a second block underneath there. And grab your strap. Take your right leg up towards the ceiling and loop the strap behind the right ankle. Hold the strap, not at the loop area, but at the tail end. Bring the right leg as close as you can towards the chest. So you look for the edge of the hamstring stretch. And right now your pelvis is likely rolling towards your chest. Let that happen for right now. Tail might be fully off of the block. Once you've found the edge of the hamstring stretch, slide your hands down the strap so that your arms are more alongside the ears. The arms will stay active, giving a slight pull on the strap. Your right quadricep should be active. That's kind of the main muscle here that's activating. The right hamstring is lengthening, but now we're going to see if we can activate it while it's in this lengthened position. So press your right ankle into the strap, but don't move the right leg from its hamstring stretch position. So you're trying to bring your right leg all the way to the floor. Arms don't let that happen. And just notice while we're here, we'll be here for a few more breaths. You know, is your chin really tucked towards the chest? Can you keep that natural curve in the neck? Your eyes can look in the direction of the ceiling, which maybe is, maybe you see your foot. And just notice if the leg doesn't want to stay activated. Right? It takes a lot of attention. Okay, now release the activation of the right leg. So stop pushing the right ankle into the strap and just see with the weight of your arms, does your right leg come a little bit closer, maybe a millimeter or maybe more than that, closer to your chest. And then in that position, again, press the right ankle into the strap. Slowly start to lengthen your left leg. So for some of you, the left leg might have to hover. Maybe it's quite hard to bring the back of the left heel to the floor. If that's true, you could try bending your left knee a bit. That might help you be able to bring the back of the heel to the floor, just so you can have that feedback of the floor. And then try to slide the back of the left heel farther away from you to lengthen the back of the left knee. As you're doing this now, the pelvis begins to, there's like a little bit of a fight over which direction the pelvis is going to go. Does it go with the right leg or does it go with the left leg? So allow your pelvis now to tilt with the left leg, meaning your pubic bone is going away from your navel. And your hamstring goes, oh, there's some more stretch. Is your right leg still active? Push that right ankle towards the strap. Okay, leave your left leg where it's at. Let your right knee start to bend, release the strap. Draw your right knee in towards your chest. Now you might be able to lengthen the left leg a bit more. Gently roll the left leg inward just a touch so that you really feel like you're in neutral. With the right hand on the right knee, widen your right knee to the right. Don't let your pelvis tip to the right. Let it be a movement in the hip joint. Good. Exhale, bring your right knee back to the middle. Stand your right foot, stand your left foot. Okay, if you need to just kind of lift your pelvis up for a moment, that was a pretty long hold. You can lift your pelvis and lower it a couple of times. Just make sure you like where the block is. And grab your strap. Loop the strap behind the left ankle. Take a hold of the tail end of the strap. And allow your left leg to come towards the chest until you feel like, okay, this is a good place to work the hamstring stretch, right? We're here for a while. You're letting your pelvis follow the left leg right now. Slide your hands down the strap so the arms are alongside the ears and give a little pull on the strap. You can also just feel the weight of the arms. We'll do that naturally. Strong flex of the left foot and begin to push the left ankle into the strap. So another thing you can think about, it's almost like you're trying to pull the back of your left heel down to your left sitting bone. It seems a little counterintuitive. We're in this lengthened position with the hamstring, but now it's like you're trying to shorten it. So we're looking for strength while we're in the end range. So while your left quadricep is engaged, should feel more of the work happening in your hamstring right now. Not only the stretch sensation, but looking for that activation. One more breath in of pressing your ankle into the strap. And then let go of pressing your ankle into the strap and see if with the weight of your arms, maybe the left leg comes a bit closer to your chest. And from there, push again, ankle into strap. And start to lengthen your right leg long. See if the back of your right heel can find the floor. Your left leg is really, my teacher would always call it the celebrity leg. Your left leg is calling all of your attention right now, but see if your right leg can be just as active in your attention. So you extend through the back of the leg, find that slight inward rotation, try to press the right thigh bone back towards the floor and allow your pelvis to tilt and follow the right leg. You know, in doing that, your left knee might go, I would like to bend, you know, and if you need to, then soften it a bit. All right, slowly start to bend your left knee. Keep your right leg where it's at. Take the strap out from around the ankle, holding the left knee in towards the chest. Now you might be able to find a bit more length through the front of your right hip, out the right leg. And hold the left knee with just the left hand and start to widen the left knee to the left. Good. Exhale the knee to the middle. Stay on both feet. And press the feet into the floor to lift the pelvis. Slide that block out from underneath. Okay, find your strap again and just grab the end of the strap, not the loop part. Hold the strap so your hands are a bit wider than your shoulders. Reach the arms to the ceiling and pull the strap taut. As you pull, it doesn't have to be a really firm pull, but just enough that the strap stays taut and you can feel the front of the shoulders widen from the top of the sternum out to the armpits. Now pick your feet up, bring your knees towards your chest, flex your feet. You can engage the legs towards one another. As you exhale, lift your arms up so that the front of the chest shortens and the shoulder blades lift away from the floor. And then breathe in and expand your back ribs. And as you exhale, lift your head and your shoulders and reach the arms. See if your strap can bypass the feet. So you're curling into a tight little ball. Forehead and knees come towards one another. On your next exhalation, reach the arms a little bit farther forward, shoulder blades widen. Inhale, reach the arms back up. Head comes to the floor. And exhale. Okay, we're going to do that one more time. So coming into this tight little ball, take a breath in. See if you can expand your back ribs. Exhale, lift the arms taller so the shoulder blades widen. Inhale here. Exhale, lift the head and the shoulders. Start to reach the strap beyond the feet if you can. You can curl the tail off the floor if you'd like. Exhale, widen the shoulder blades even more. Inhale, expand into the back ribs. And exhale, lower head down, lower feet down, let the strap go. All right, from there, just do a little windshield wiper of the knees again, side to side. Okay, we're working on flexion a bit today, spinal flexion. Okay, one more here on our back. So take the arms down alongside the body. Pick your feet up again. And knees are towards the chest. And as you exhale, see if you can use a little momentum with your legs. Lift the tail, the sacrum, as much of the spine off the floor as if you're coming towards a plow pose. You don't have to go that high. Just see where you can go. And then using your arms, this is a lot of tricep. Slow motion, roll yourself back down the spine. So it's like a slow motion cannonball. So on your exhalation, you can use a bit of momentum with your legs to lift the pelvis up into the air. Pushing the backs of the arms and the hands down, and use the abdominals to slowly lower yourself one vertebrae at a time. But let's try that one more time. Little swing of the legs. And as slow as you can, rolling down. Okay, now take a hold behind your legs. And see if you can rock forward up to sit. Continue holding the legs and rock back onto your back. Finding a smoothness in that, a playfulness. Great. Next time you come all the way up, we'll stay up and we'll come to hands and knees. All right, so on your hands and your knees, let's take the blocks up towards the top of the mat. Hands right underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips. Exhale and round into cat spine. And this should feel somewhat familiar from what we've been doing. Stay in your cat spine, widen the shoulder blades. Bring your forehead and your pubic bone towards one another. You're breathing in and out. Breathing in, trying to expand the breath to your back ribs. And breathing out will really support this shape, doming the lower belly into the back space. We'll be here for a couple more breaths. So this shape is easier for your upper back to find. So focus a bit more on the lower back, really curling the tail down. Thinking about your pubic bone coming toward your nose. Go ahead, breathe in and come to neutral spine. Great, now walk your hands forward about a foot for dog and prayer position. Plant the hands, finger pads, push firmly into the floor. Arms are long, forearms lift to ceiling. Looking for the full length from tail to back of head. Forehead might come to the floor. Notice if your feet are off the floor, if toes are tucked, then you can keep that. If your fronts of the ankles are long, can you press the feet a little bit into the floor to help ground? On your next exhalation, begin to lift the low back and the mid back towards the ceiling to come into cat spine here. So your tail curls down, your head drops, your nose and your pubic bone try to meet one another. Stay in that cat spine, but walk your hands back so they're right underneath your shoulders and take a moment to push the floor. Let the shoulder blades widen a bit more. Good, and inhale to neutral spine. Turn the toes under and press back to full down dog. Now let's start with a bent knee down dog. A generous bend of the knees. Arms are long. Hip creases are reaching back. See if you can look for the lumbar curve while you're here, even though we've been rounding, right? We've been flexing. So move your pubic bone now up and back. Try to slide your pubic bone away from your navel so that you really tilt the sitting bones up. Maintain that as you activate the arms, pressing the hands down and forward. And can you keep that lifting of the pubic bone? The pubic bone is moving back and up, and slowly start to find some length in the backs of the knees. Good. Inhale, come forward to plank. Exhale, lower to your belly. Untuck the toes. And breathe in, small cobra. Pausing here. Feeling the backs of the ears sliding back. Upper palate moving back. Gently taking the eyes forward to help open the throat. Good. Exhale. Tip of the nose comes towards the floor. Push back up to hands and knees. Turn your toes under and walk your hands back so that your hands are right alongside your knees. So your fingertips will stay pointed forward. Exhale, round your back like a cat spine. Chin comes in towards chest, and bring the top of the head to the floor. You can bring it as close to the knees as you can get. Soften your jaw, even let your mouth open a little bit. Feel your tongue easy. Feel the skin of your face in this upside down position. And then push the floor firmly with your hands to widen the shoulder blades. So the shoulder blades go away from the spine, but they're also lifting out of the ears. So you really feel the length of the sides of the neck, even though your neck is in this flexion. Can you hollow the front of your throat towards the back of your throat? Move the sternum deeper into the body. Your sternum is coming to the back towards your vertebrae. And then press with the toes into the floor. Pick your pelvis up a bit more if you haven't already. So there's a little weight on the top of the head, but you can have as much weight as you need in your hands. And again, your pubic bone and your nose are trying to come towards one another. I wish the rabbits in my garden were this shy. Rabbit pose was like you stick your head, you're like hiding your head. Okay, so slowly come out of that. Lift your head up about halfway, not all the way upright. From here, we'll come to Uttanasana. So take your time if you need to be in this kind of neutral place for the blood flow for a moment before we go upside down again. Take some time for that. And when you're ready, landing in Uttanasana with the feet hips distance, let the arms hang. Find some length through the back of the neck just by naturally letting the weight of the head fall. Okay, while you're here in Uttanasana, can you move your pubic bone back and up? That should say a little hello to the hamstrings. Good, and breathing in, come up halfway to flat back. Breathe out and fold forward. Again, breathe in, lengthen to a long spine. Breathe out and fold forward. Inhale, slowly come all the way up to stand. Sweep the arms wide. Bring the palms together overhead. Exhale the hands down through center. Okay, let's come to face the long edge of the mat and grab your blocks. You can take your blocks out to either side out in front of you so they're handy when you need them. And take your feet wide. Right, bring the hands to the hip points in the front. And turn your left toes out with a bend of the left knee, tracking the left knee with the small toes. And then if you want to, you widen your stance a little bit. We're moving towards a side angle pose. You can do that. So your right inner arch is lifting, right leg is long. With the hands on the hip points, see if you can bend your left knee a bit deeper and try to keep these hip points level for the moment. Same altitude. So it's almost like you could take a hold underneath your left hip point and kind of give it a little lift up is usually the direction that you'd need to go to keep it level. Good, bring your right arm down, so your right hand's on the outside of your right leg, and push your right leg up into your hand. Take the left arm up, right alongside the ear, and slowly start to move into a reverse warrior position. So your right hand might slide down your leg a little bit. You're not putting pressure down into your leg, but your right leg is pushing back up into your hand. Reach the left arm straight up. And feel the left sitting bone heavy. Great. Exhale, come back to the warrior two-leg position. Grab one of your blocks and put it on the pinky toe side, so behind your left leg. Your left hand can be there behind the left thigh. Repositioning your feet if you need to. Bring your right hand to your right hip. Now lift your chest up and out of your left shoulder. Move your left knee back towards the left arm. Begin to turn the waist to the right as if you want to turn the belly towards the ceiling. And from there, take your right arm up and alongside the ear. Now, with all that awareness at the very beginning of class of your spine, can you feel your tail reaching away from the back of the head? And then check in, is your chin tucking in towards the chest? Can you release that if that's happening and feel the space behind the head? Let the head fall back into that space. Nice. Bring your right hand back to your hip. Find the strength of the legs to come all the way up. Straighten the left leg, turn the left toes in. Okay, turning the right toes and right knee out. Bring the hands to the hip points. As you bend the right knee a bit deeper, can you lift that right hip point? Good. Good. Take your left hand down to the outside of the left thigh and activate your left thigh up into your hand. Great. Right arm reaches high. Slide your left hand down the leg. Again, you're not putting weight into your hand, but quite the opposite. Your leg keeps pushing into your hand. Moving into the side bend, the side stretch for the right side. Keeping the gaze forward rather than down into your chest. Good. Exhale, come back to the warrior two positioning. Find your block, put it on the pinky toe side of the right foot, back behind your right leg. Make sure the feet feel stable. Looking forward. Go ahead and press down quite firmly with your right arm, right hand, and let the chest rebound and lift out of the right shoulder. Moving your right thigh back towards your right arm. As you maintain that, turn the belly and the chest towards the ceiling. The left arm can come alongside the ear. The limbs are really almost less important than what's happening with the way you're organizing the torso. Often why I bring that top arm in at the end. And then feel this distance between the back of your tail, sacrum, and the back of your head. Try to lengthen that distance. So your tail is reaching in this diagonal line, the tails are reaching towards your left foot. Great, and slowly start to come on up. Okay, bring your hands to your hips. Your feet have maybe widened a bit. So go ahead and heel toe your feet slightly closer, but we're still in this wide position. Feet are parallel and tip forward into Upavishta, letting the head hang. Top of the head drops. If you can bring your hands so that they are at the same line of your feet. So your hands can rest about shoulder distance with the fingers pointed in the direction that your feet are pointed. Let the top of the head drop as if you could touch the floor with the top of the head. And move your pubic bone back and up. Allowing the ribs to slide out of your waist. Good. Keep your hands wherever they're at. And on a breath in, come forward towards a flat back. You can come up to fingertips if you'd like. Engage the backs of the legs. Think sitting bones, pull towards heels, and bring your hands to your hips. Come all the way up to stand. Okay, heel toe your feet a little bit more narrow, still slightly wider than hips distance. Take a breath in, just sweep the arms up, out and up. That'll feel good. And exhale, fold forward. Now see if you can, standing on the hands. So you slide your palms underneath your feet. Your toes come close towards your wrist if that's possible. The heels stay on the floor. You can push the toe pads into the wrists and the base of the palm, and that can actually feel somewhat supportive, but you want to make sure that this weight on your hand bones is appreciated. Holding the chest towards the legs, allowing your head to hang. Good. Carefully slide your hands out from underneath your feet. See if you can start to come down into a wide-legged squat. So that may be that your pelvis is still about, knee height. Some of you can drop your pelvis down and come into that full squat. Good. Okay, if you're in the full squat, go ahead and find some length in the spine. You can take the arms to the insides of the knees and give them a gentle press open. Great, and then slowly fold back into this wide-legged Uttanasana and roll yourself all the way up to stand. Okay, walk your feet back together. We're going to move those blocks off the mat and grab your blanket. So let's make a blanket roll. So you can unfold it, grab the fringe end, roll it up. So once you have your blanket roll, place it around the middle of your mat so that the long end is parallel with the short end of your mat. And you can stand at the back of your mat. So you're looking forward and you see that blanket roll. Go ahead and just tip forward into Uttanasana. Slowly start to walk your hands forward. You'll have to walk over the blanket, come to down dog. In your downward facing dog, lift your heels, come high up onto the balls of the feet. Stay high on the balls of the feet and bend your knees. Strong flexion of the toes. Straighten the legs. Slowly lower your heels back towards the floor. And then lower your knees down. Come forward so that the blanket is underneath the abdomen. So you can come into sphinx pose as you're setting that blanket in what feels like the appropriate place. If the blanket is too far down towards your pelvis, and this will feel a bit more challenging. So if you're having a hard time, you can just try moving the blanket closer towards your ribs. So you're in Sphinx pose, elbows right underneath shoulders, forearms are parallel. And look forward. Feel the space behind your head and move your head back into that space. Activate your arms so your hands pull the mat back. Your hands are trying to pull towards your elbows. Notice if that wakes up anything in your upper back. And then push your elbows straight down and feel thoracic spine shooting up towards the roof of the mouth. So this is back bend moment on the blanket. Take one more breath in. Now, as you exhale, drop your head, let your chin come towards your chest. Begin to lift your sternum into the body. So your shoulder blades widen, your upper back begins to round, and lift your abdomen off of the blanket. Your thighs will start to lift as well. Your knees can stay on the floor, and you're trying to move your spine into cat spine. The pubic bone and the nose are trying to come towards one another. You should feel strong abdominal activation. Take one more exhale here, pushing down with the elbows. And then as you breathe in, lower thighs, pelvis, belly will come back towards the blanket and come back up into Sphinx pose. Now, if Sphinx pose feels okay and you want a slightly deeper back bend, you can start to straighten the arms for Cobra pose with the blanket roll. Same thing though, if you're in Cobra pose, pull the mat towards you. Feel the space behind the head and let the head move back into that space. Lengthen the distance between the top of your sternum and the very top of your throat. Shoulder blades firm down as the thoracic vertebrae lift. They shoot upward towards the head. And slowly, if your arms are straight, bring your forearms down. Everybody let your head drop. Chin comes towards the chest. As you exhale, begin to find that cat spine action, lifting the lower belly. And you can look in the direction of your pubic bone, and you're trying to bring your pubic bone towards your nose. Good, and slowly lower down, taking the abdomen onto the blanket and then coming into kind of a more easy Sphinx pose so your eyes can be out towards your hands, and just do a little side to side action, rolling the pelvis a little side to side, letting the blanket move into the belly in more of a massage-like way, so you can roll towards one side of your waist and the other. Good, and then full pressure on the belly, stack your hands, let your forehead come to your hands, and just rest here for a moment with some deep belly breaths. When you breathe in, expanding towards the blanket, and as you breathe out, and you let the belly yield, and feeling the pubic bone, the pelvis bones, and the ribs, and dropping towards the floor as the soft tissues of the abdomen get this nice pressure. I know this one's not everybody's cup of tea to have the pressure there. Okay, so when you're ready, start to plant your hands so they're more underneath your shoulders so that you have solid support with your hands so you can slowly lift yourself off that blanket. Come back to child's pose. Bringing your forehead to the floor. A wide knee child's pose will let your belly have a little bit more space to breathe and move if you prefer that. Good. Walk your hands back up and just shift your pelvis over to the right. So your feet are on the left. The left leg is free. You're gonna swing that left foot around for Ardha Matsyendrasana. If this is challenging, go ahead and straighten your right leg for the twist. Okay, we haven't done much twisting, so this might feel nice. Take a hold of your left knee with your right hand. Bring your sternum and your knee towards one another. Slowly twist to the left, bringing the left fingertips behind you. Ground down through the left sitting bone. Just like we did in Sphinx pose, feel the space behind your head. Let your head lean back towards that space. Float the top of the sternum towards your chin. Good. Exhale, gently untwist. Just swap out the legs for the second side. So either your left leg is long or tucked underneath. Cross your right foot to the other side of the left leg, standing the right foot firmly. Gently draw your right knee and your sternum towards one another. Okay, left hand can stay on the knee. Bring your right hand behind you. Moving the right upper arm bone back, exposing the armpit ribs. Good. Exhale, gently untwist. Okay, we're going to set up one more thing here before we take our lovely Shavasana. So it's in the direction of plow pose, which we did a lot of things today to prep for that. So you can think as though we're setting up legs up the wall in the middle of the room with a block underneath the pelvis. But I'm refolding my blanket to a flat blanket so that you could have a little bit of padding under that there so that your block is a little bit more soft, or your platform is a little bit more soft, because we'll tip the legs and the feet in the direction of plow pose a little bit. So this corner of the block, it presses into some part of your back or your pelvis. So I've got a flat blanket fold over my one block that I'm going to use. And I'm just going to sit with my feet out in front, and that platform is between the pelvis and the feet. And then have your strap, your loop strap handy. Go ahead and lie down and grab that platform. Pick the pelvis up, slide the platform underneath your pelvis. And then grab your strap and take your legs straight up And loop the strap right across the feet. It could be balls of feet or across the arch area of the feet. And first, just feel what it's like to have the legs vertical. So you really feel the plumb line. The sacrum is just dropping straight down. So it doesn't feel like you have more weight on the tail end of the sacrum or the lumbar part of the sacrum, but it's right in the middle. See if you can look for that sensation. All right, now slowly start to bring your legs towards your chest, and you can walk your hands up the strap as close towards the feet as you'd like. And the tail will peel off of the block and the sacrum will peel off the block. And you can feel now that you're really only touching the corner of the block. Keep the back of the head actively pressing down into the floor so that your cervical curve stays present. And push your feet into the strap. This is a really important part of this moment. So your hands are pulling on the strap so that your feet have this firm surface, being the strap, that they can push against. And some of you might be able to push into the strap, find those deep lower belly abdominal muscles, and peel off of the platform. Making sure your neck and your shoulders appreciate this. The toes might come to the floor, or your feet might be hovering. You can keep pushing the feet into the strap. If your toes are on the floor and you want to release the strap with your hands, you just want to bring your hands down. Your arms could even come down near your platform. Relax the jaw wherever you're at. And then very slowly lowering down, knowing that that platform is still there. So you meet the platform with the top of the pelvis. And bring the entire back of the pelvis back to the platform. Bend your knees and bring both feet to the floor. Pause here for a moment. Now bend your elbows and bring your upper arm bones close in so that you're in the robot position. You're already in the supported bridge, just using the robot arms to lift the chest a bit more to counteract what we just did. So the elbows are bent 90 degrees, fingertips point towards the ceiling. Press the backs of the shoulders down. Press the back of the head firmly into the floor. And you might choose to just stay here. This might feel nice, like a good place to be. I'm going to offer one more option, which is to lengthen your legs. So legs are long, backs of heels find the floor. Bring your legs all the way together though. So they're one unit, and you engage inner thighs. Press the thigh bones back towards the floor. Lengthening this distance between pubic bone and the base of your sternum. So the whole front of the belly gets longer. Good. Slowly relax your arms. Stand your feet. Carefully slide that platform out from underneath you. And draw your knees in. Take a little rock side to side. Let your head roll side to side with this rocking movement. And then just grab whatever you may need for Shavasana to make sure that you're fully comfortable. Taking a moment to just settle into Shavasana. Feeling the curves of your spine, the parts of your spine that are touching the floor, deeply dropping into the floor. Allowing the upper shoulders to spread, the weight of the arms to drop. Soften your vision. Although your eyes are likely closed, just noticing if there is still activity with your eyes, around your eyes. Imagining that your two eyes could drift away from one another, as if your right eye could roll downhill to the right while your left eye rolls downhill to the left. Just imagine that. When your eyes are tired, the world is tired also. When your vision has gone, no part of the world can find you. Time to go into the dark, where the night has eyes to recognize its own. And keeping your eyes closed, start to find some movement through fingers and toes. Letting your limbs draw towards the center and roll to your side. And then keeping your head heavy, press yourself up to a comfortable seat. And bringing the palms together. May you be free of inner and outer harm. May you be happy and peaceful. May you be healthy and strong. And may you care for yourself joyfully. Take breath in, exhale. Namaste.
Are you enjoying this podcast? I've chosen to offer these audio recordings freely for over 15 years. I do this because research shows yoga, yoga nidra, and Feldenkrais to be valuable practices, those which I would like to share widely. Dana, the Buddhist practice of generosity, has always been a pillar of my business. And more generally, Dana is the inclination to give without expecting any form of repayment. It does, however, take a fair amount of time, effort, and cost to maintain and keep the podcasts available. If you feel you've benefited from what you've learned from these classes, then please do consider making a contribution towards the maintenance and upkeep of the classes. It will help ensure that I can continue to offer the podcast classes freely and keep generating new material. Give what you can, give what feels good. If it's too little, it won't feel good. If it's too much, it won't feel good. Links to support the show monetarily can be found in the show notes. And other ways to give include sharing the podcast with others, leaving a 5-star rating and review, or just sending me an email with how the classes have affected you. Thanks so much.